Hello, everybody. Welcome again to Kanokanga broadcast. This is Sangwadzi Kachidza Mapfumo welcoming you to our segment of today's segment of Kanokanga. I would like to first apologize because we have had a problem with the guest who was supposed to come today, John Masuku. He had a family bereavement yesterday, so he could not come to the program today as our guest. But I managed to get my good friend Mary Kanokanga Rice to come and join us. So let's wait a little bit and see if we get more people joining us. And then we can go into it. I'm sure you are going to enjoy today's program. Yes, I see some people coming. It Leeds, Miri's there. Tapinda Sangwadzi Makadeiko. Hello, Lee. Let's wait a few minutes and see who else is joining us. Yes. And we always support, encourage people to call their friends, tell them Kanokanga is now on air, join us, and then, like and share with others so that we get more people to follow us. And I'm so looking forward to today's program. Okay, while we're waiting for people to come in, I would like to introduce you to my guest today, another ordinary person doing extraordinary work. My guest today is Mary Kanokanga Rice, a girl from Mutoko who is now a businesswoman in Spain. Amazing story that she told me, and I thought, I'm sure everybody would like to hear this. And so I invited her to come and join us today. Mary lives in Spain. She lived in England for a while, moved to Spain. She'll tell us her story, why and how she moved to Spain and ended up buying a rural farm in Spain and doing business out there. She also is into health and fitness, nutrition and health. She's not a nutritionist, but she's become a guru at this. But, she's going to tell us her story. Mary, welcome to the program. As I said earlier on, you lived in England for a while. You were born in Mutoko, Katsande, right?
Yes.
Okay, go in and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and I missed just a little bit going to school with you. You went to school with my cousins at Nyadiri, but tell us your story because it's quite an amazing story from the time when you left Zimbabwe and you went to England and you go. Carry on.
Thank you, Asangwazi, for inviting me to your show. You've been told my name is Mary Kanokanga and I'm now Mary Kanokanga Rice. I was born in Mutoko, brought up in Mutoko, and I went to Nyadiri Mission for my primary and Mutoko High for secondary, and then ended up working at the Income Tax Office in Harare and then University of Zimbabwe in the admin department. I left and went to the UK to study with the intention of going back to Zimbabwe one day, but it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Life was different and I decided to stay. Fast forward a few years later, I was living in London with my husband, James, who is a chef. And because of work, we could not spend more time together and our daughter was still very young. So we moved from London to the west of England with the hope that we'll buy a house and do bed and breakfast. But it never happened that way. We continued working long hours, very stressful environment. And one day I said to him, we might as well move to Spain. I had never been to Spain. I love traveling, but Spain was not one of those countries that we'd been to. We'd been to Zimbabwe. We wanted to buy a property in Zimbabwe when we got married in 2000 to do the same thing, a safari lodge. But things were, as you all know, things were a bit difficult and I didn't want to jeopardize my life or my husband's life. So we decided to buy a property in Spain, an old farmhouse in the mountains. We did some renovations. with rooms. We sleep 18 people in the rooms. They all have got their own lounge. They've got their own entrances. So you almost like have your own apartment in this building. And we've got a restaurant which we sit about 26 people. We do various menus. Our customers are a mixture of English, British people, Europeans, Germans, French, and Spanish as well. If we come to talk about language, I didn't speak Spanish when we came to Spain.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. But now, do you habla español?
Ahora habla, sí, yo habla, entiendo español. Mi clientes son españoles también, so I understand Spanish. I speak Spanish. Most of our suppliers are all Spanish, so we had to learn on the go. And the fact that our daughter was 10 when we came here, so we put her in a Spanish school. We didn't want her to go to an international school because we felt this was going to be our life. So she needs to learn the language.
But
That was the starting
Mary,
point of me learning Spanish, because
but
we had to go to parents' evening. And as you all know, if you've got a child up to 12, they still listen to you. They want to go to school. And then when she became a teen, she rebelled. So we were always getting calls from school. It was a Spanish school, no English spoken. So I had to learn. It was like baptism by fire for me to learn the language. So
but
that's
then
what happened.
your husband is Mary, but your husband is not Spanish though.
No, he's not Spanish. He's British.
Okay,
He's English, British.
okay. Your husband is English.
So
Okay.
we both had to learn Spanish to deal with school, to deal with our business, to understand how things work in Spain. As years went by, we became, comfortable with the life. We enjoy it here. It's hard work. I can never pretend that it's easy. When you work for yourself, you can't afford to have a day off. You can't afford to phone in sick. You need to pay the bills. So every day you have to keep hustling. That then also introduced a different problem to your life. Your health suffers. The stress, we had the crisis of 2008, which made life really difficult. That made me probably my health suffered a lot. And I was also approaching the menopause phase. So things were happening. When I was stressed, I would eat a lot. I would drink as well, alcohol. I'm not saying I was an alcoholic, but it was almost like I need a drink. I'm surrounded by drink, so I would drink it.
While you're at it, don't you have a winery again at your rural? Do you grow?
In front of my business, I've got a winery. A Spanish family own the winery. So we've got access to wines for the restaurant. We also have got different suppliers from all over Spain where we buy different wines. So I'm actually living in a winery in my own house. I've got a wine cellar. I live with food. Our life is food. So imagine if you are stressed, you are living with food, you are living with wine, something happens there. And I must admit, it happened to me. In 2013, our daughter had a health issue which nearly destroyed us. She had had surgery, a very fit young girl. She now has got a mechanical heart valve that tipped me over the edge. I was really angry that why is this happening to my daughter? Now I can talk about it without wanting to cry. But it was a very difficult phase. The first 2-3 years were really hard because she was angry as well, is to say, why me? And I was in the same boat as well. So I was not supporting her enough because I was grieving, and then I started walking, going for long walks, and then I started jogging. I had put on weight. Normally my weight would have been around 73, 74, but I had shot up to 81, 82
kgs.
kgs. And I would swell. My ankles would swell. My tummy was there. All these things were happening, but I was refusing to acknowledge that I had a problem. You actually don't want to acknowledge it. Uh, one day my husband said to me, Mary, you are doing a lot of walking and running. Why don't you do it for charity? Why don't you raise funds?
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I need to challenge. I need something to use to use my anger on something. So I started running, and then I joined a group that was doing a marathon in Madrid. So I did my first marathon, half marathon, 21 kilometers ever in 2015. And the same year, I did another one in Lisbon, and I raised over 10,000 euros for that cause.
Mhm.
But still, I did not change my eating habits. I was still eating a lot. Although I was training, I was now building muscle. I was heavier because I was eating, I was fooling myself thinking, Mary, you are exercising, you are running 10 kilometers a day in the mountains, you are fit, but I wasn't fit. I was eating the wrong things. I was having my share of wine. And
Mhm.
then one day I went to the doctor and they did some tests and they said, you are pre-diabetic. And I refused that I was pre-diabetic because
What
I
do you mean you
believed
refused?
I
What
was
do you mean you
running.
refused? What do you mean you
I,
refused?
I said I was fit. How can I be diabetic? I'm a fit person. I don't eat junk food. We cook at home. How can I be diabetic? And the doctor said, yes, your blood is showing that you are 6.14. I don't know how you measure that in Canada, but that's the amount of sugar in my blood, which
Mhm.
is now creeping towards being diabetic.
Mhm.
So I refused to take medication. I walked away and I said, no, I can do it myself. I came home. I was angry, more anger.
Yeah, I know.
It was like I was going through anger issues. And then I went back again for tests, and the doctor said to me, it's gone up. If you're not careful, you're going to be
To have a stroke.
diabetic.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you need to lose weight. And I was thinking, how can you tell me to lose weight? I'm not. You deny a lot of things. I'm
Mhm.
sure most of us, even your listeners, I'm sure some of them understand where I'm coming from. I denied a lot of things. I'm
That,
fit.
that actually
I'm
that's why
I'm not
I wanted
overweight.
that's why I wanted
Mhm,
to now to move from your business to talk about that bit, the health bit. You're not a nutritionist, you're
mhm,
not a nurse, but your doctor told you that if you don't do something about your the way you're eating, you could get sick, and
mhm.
you could tell from your blood sugar levels that this is what they call diabetes, right?
Yeah, and that was not only the only thing. My blood pressure was really high. Uh, Several times I would go to the medical center to have my blood checked, my blood pressure checked, and I would end up staying there for a couple of hours because it's too high. I was not allowed to drive. I had injections to try and force it down quickly. I had tablets under my tongue, and still I could not understand how this can happen to me because although I was heavier, I didn't think that I was big. I was
Well,
going towards being obese. And then one day I agreed to take the medication. But what uh, I've got an issue with the medical profession because they just give you medication. They don't fully explain to you what you need to do to either reverse certain things.
mhm,
So, in the process of taking my blood pressure medication and also my diabetes tablets, I started having palpitations. I would wake up in the morning uh, thinking I'm having a heart attack, and a couple of times I go to the doctor, I get there, they're gone, and they can't find anything wrong with me.
mhm,
Fortunately, one day it happened. We went to the clinic and they put me on a machine. And, the heart machine, it was all over the
mhm,
place. And they said, you have to go to hospital because something is going on here. So I went and I was put on a monitor for 24 hours. You put a belt around your chest
mhm.
and you sleep with it. And that was that was almost like a turning point for me. I realized something was really wrong and I need to do something about it. And I was always told by the nurse that I should eat brown bread. I should eat things like
Grains.
rice, brown rice,
Mhm.
integral, wholemeal things, and I was eating them. My sugar was not coming down. My blood pressure was not coming down. I was told, don't eat so much meat, salt, have less salt, and I was doing all those things, but nothing actually changed. I was reading labels, Weetabix. If I'm buying Weetabix, what is in there? It says 100% wholemeal, and I'm thinking I'm eating the right thing.
Mhm.
And then about 2 years ago, someone said to me, there's this group on Facebook called Reversing Type 2 Diabetes. And I thought, you must be crazy. How can they reverse it? It's not possible. It's something that you have for life. It's not going to happen. But I said, okay, I'll go in and look at it. So I did. So in 2021, I decided to follow some of the things that were happening in this forum. And I also decided to follow almost like a keto diet where you have less carbohydrates and you eat more protein. But that was also very difficult and also going against what I believe we should be doing. Because when you go to the doctor, they say eat less meat because you don't want to have too much meat. There's saturated fats and all these things. So I was going with my doctor's advice of eating less meat, probably once or twice a week, and going more plant-based, eating my potatoes, eating my rice and everything. But nothing really was actually changing with my blood sugar. One day I read a blog by this Indian guy who said, when you are type 2 diabetes, your enemy is carbohydrates. What you need to put in your mind is that you are allergic to carbohydrates. You need to reduce the carbohydrates that you have, and most of them should come from vegetables. So I chose to follow that path. That's what I did. I reduced my carbohydrates. I went to 75 grams a day, and then I went to 40 grams a day. Now I don't eat more than 35 grams of carbohydrates a day.
Mary, do you eat bread,
I
or
don't
you
eat
get,
bread.
you get your carbs from your vegetables?
I get my carbs from vegetables. If I have bread, I make bread from coconut flour or almond flour. If I have lentils, for instance, I have a tablespoon of lentils a day. That's my carbohydrates. If I have chickpeas, I do the same thing. I don't eat potatoes anymore. I can have mbambaira, sweet potato, and I'll have a slice, one slice. I eat meat. I eat fish. I eat a lot of vegetables, like I said. My first blood sugar test when it was done, I had the whole blood test done to check cholesterol, to check everything else. My cholesterol was high. I panicked. I thought I've eaten too much meat. Now I've got cholesterol problems. I came back home and I went back and started reading about it. And I follow a doctor called Dr. Berg, Berg. He's on YouTube. And one of his videos was saying that if you go on any diet, you are trying to undo all the bad things that you've been doing for so many years. And it doesn't come cheap. It's really tough. And you find that sometimes it can, for the first few weeks or a couple of months, it will do the opposite. So instead of losing weight, you might put on more weight. Or instead of cholesterol going into normal levels because you're thinking that I'm doing the right thing, your cholesterol will go up because your body is actually going into shock. You are introducing something totally different. So I stuck to it. I stuck to eating meat. Every meal that I have, it will have fish, it will have meat, it will have vegetables. lots of vegetables. I'll have more vegetables than the meat. My second blood test, my cholesterol went down to normal levels. My third one, it was even perfect. My sugar is gone from 6.14 to 5.8, which means that if I continue with what I'm doing, I'll hopefully in the next 6 months or less, I'll be in the normal levels of diabetes, which means that it will have gone into remission.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that you don't actually get rid of diabetes. You reverse the numbers and then it goes into remission. Like, if you read into it, they say, like cancer, it goes into remission. If I continue with the way I'm eating, from what I'm reading, it will stay there in remission. I continue the way I eat because now I don't crave for many things. I don't crave for potatoes, for rice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I never ate those things. I don't eat sweet things at all. My fruit is strawberry, blueberries. That's my fruit, and watermelon, because those they say that they don't spike your sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Another thing.
You, Mary, wait until you
Mhm,
go Kumusha. Go to Zimbabwe and you see mangoes there and tell me you're not going to eat. And you know, mangoes are very high in sugar. They
mhm.
spike your. I don't know how you're going to do it next time you go Kumusha. And then I went home and I ate mangoes every day.
But let me tell you something. After I started doing this, we went to Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
I worried because I thought I'm going there. There's going to be high carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Spanish cuisine,
Mm-hmm.
the fruit. Uh, I've got a meter. I eat to the glucose meter. So if I'm eating something, before I put anything in my mouth, I test my sugar, my blood, to see what the level is. And then an hour and a half to 2 hours after eating, I test again to see what has happened with the food that I've eaten. And that has been a guiding light for me. If something spikes, if I introduce something new in my diet and my sugar goes up, I don't go there again.
Yeah.
When I was in Colombia, I did the same thing. I didn't eat things that I felt, okay, I had mango because they've got amazing fruit there, like, Zimbabwe.
I know.
I would have a small fruit like papaya or mango, pineapple,
Guavas. Mm-hmm.
and then I will make sure that if I eat that, there's a lot of walking to be done.
Mm-hmm. You
I
do
will
run
not have
as
the.
well, but you do run as well, right?
Yeah, I do run as well. Now I cycle as well. I do yoga, which is very helpful for blood pressure as well, because I'm a very hyper person.
Mm-hmm.
I think many of us Zimbabweans, we are there.
Mm-hmm.
We are not, very few are like that. Me, I get in there. I want things done. So it wasn't helping my situation with blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing yoga, which I enjoy very much. It's very calming. I do meditate sometimes. So yeah, it's you need to go to war with yourself.
Yeah.
When I've been tempted to, I'm not saying I don't get tempted. Sometimes I do get tempted, and I eat some things, and then I feel disgusted with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel angry with myself and say, why did I give in?
Well, you know why?
Another.
I think it's because you know that if you cut those things out like you did initially,
Mhm,
and you saw results, and
mhm.
and your diabetes kind of went into remission, so you'll feel angry with yourself. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Yeah,
But again, it's a war, right?
yeah, absolutely. And I think for most of us humans, we need something to trigger us. If you are
Mm-hmm.
not triggered by something, then you will not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when I look, I mentioned my daughter and her health issues. She's a very strong young lady, and she follows what she's supposed to do. She follows those directions.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to myself, if she can do it, why can't I do it? If I'm going to sit here and stuff myself with sweets and then I end up having my leg chopped off
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's what sugar does.
But then your husband is
That's
a chef.
being
Your husband is a chef, and you guys, you've got this this business you're running out there. It's kind of
Mhm.
difficult, isn't it? I would think it's very difficult. Does he eat healthy himself?
Does it help me?
No, no. Is he into healthy eating as well? Your
Oh,
husband?
my husband is more healthier. He doesn't have any blood pressure or sugar. He's a very conscious of his health. He is very well. If anyone is going to stray, it's mostly likely to be me, and then he tells me off. So I'm always, when you've got these things, I'm sure many people can relate to this. When you are surrounded by people who love you, who care about your health, you want to be there for them. You want to not see them suffer or worry about your health. So I control myself. I do.
I know what
And
you mean, but I mean, I try very hard, but the very people who mean well to me, and I'm like, yeah, but I gotta eat these grapes, and I want to eat this whole ball of grapes because I love them. Both
uh-huh.
grapes fruit or the grapes to drink, and it's kind of
Yeah.
difficult, but I totally understand. But I would like to jump into, because I want to see can you share the video of your place, because it's a beautiful, beautiful place, the mountains, everything, and I can see you
Okay.
set a healthy life in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
I shall do that now.
Mhm.
Right. Where am I? Where did we go?
We go by present, and
Yeah.
then you share. Yeah, you share.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we are. Okay. Click on it.
Sorry.
Just then let
This
me
is new
edit.
to
Yeah,
me.
it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. I'll edit.
Right. Okay, so we bought this. This was an old farmhouse. Most of it was ruin. So all what you're seeing, where the flat roof is on the right or on the left of your screen now, we did all that. The swimming pool, we did all that. What you can't see in the video is there's a car park on the other side, and we own most of that land that you are seeing. Those are almonds and olives. So we use our own olive oil from our land, all those trees that are you see. We've got 8.5 hectares of both almonds and olives. So
Mhm.
we are very fortunate that we can use some of the produce from our land to use in the restaurant
Mhm.
to make most of our recipes.
Wow. That's amazing. Oh, did you say oh, okay, you've got wineries surrounding you?
Yeah, let me see. So let me see if I can go back again.
Mhm.
Okay, so you see the camera is turning. So if you look, I'll tell you to look now. Um, uh, uh, okay, now that we're on top of the house, if you look, you can see a white house in front at the top there,
Mhm.
at the
Mhm.
very front of the house in front
This
of
one
us.
here.
Beyond that is a winery.
Okay.
There's a vineyard
Mhm.
or on top of that mountain that belongs to the farmer. So
Mhm.
our wine, most of our wine comes from there to our restaurant. So they do red wine, and
Mhm.
then they also have white wine, which they've named after our business. They call it Hoya. Because
Okay.
they were quite impressed with what we do. What I find with Spain is we live in the countryside. We've never gone to the tourist areas where people just want to speak English. We live
Mhm.
amongst the local people, farmers, and they've got so much respect for us, so much that they named one of their.
Oh my goodness. Oh, people, I'm sorry what happened here. Um, hmm. Let me see. Well, I hope you're enjoying the conversation that we're having with Mary here. Um, I don't know, she got kicked out of the. Just one moment. No, we're actually at the very end of the program, but Mary has been thrown out. Let's see if she can come back, and then we can wind up. Time goes so fast when you are having fun, as you can see. I hope she'll be able to come back in. Yeah, there she is.
I don't know.
Sorry, Mary, you got you got kicked out. But anyway, you were saying about your neighbor that she was very impressed.
Yeah, they were very impressed. So they named their wine. Our white wine is called Hoya. I wish I had the bottle. I would have shown it to you. I don't know. So yes, we. Do I have a second to quickly run and get a bottle to show you?
Yes, you can. If it's in the house, yes, we're at the end of the whatever, but just bring it and yes, Kathy here says, yes, we are learning something new. We never knew. And Amelia, Kanoi, you were late. She'll come back right now. But I thought this would be very interesting for us to hear someone, an ordinary person doing amazing stuff. Yeah, show us your wine.
Where is the cup? Okay,
Yeah,
so this is
yeah,
our white wine.
yes.
It's
That's
called
great.
Hoya,
Oh,
which
yeah.
means jewel. Casa Hoya means house of jewel.
All right. All
And then
right.
from another vineyard, we get a red wine as well called Casa Hoya. This is our red wine. Where's the camera? So
Yeah,
this
I
is
can
our
see
red
you. We can
wine,
see you. Yeah.
which is made our house wine. So yes, we are very fortunate with where we are. And for me, I always say that when it comes to health, the way we were brought up on sadza every day, sadza porridge, sadza lunch for lunch and
Yeah.
for dinner, and that's in us. We can't get rid of that. But with that as well comes the consequences of what we suffer. My mother was diabetic. All her siblings were diabetic. No one ever spoke about carbohydrates. And I'm sure even yourself or most of people who are listening, if you tell them that diabetes is not held by carbohydrates, carbohydrates are not good for diabetes, but you can't tell anybody. I can't. My brother is diabetic. Alikuwa Mtoko, he's got his businesses. If I tell him, Kuti, you are eating too much sadza, you are reduce the amount of sadza, eat a lot of vegetables, he thinks I'm crazy.
I know. I know. But
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much. I mean, 30 minutes just went just like that, but I'm so glad you shared with us some, like my friend Kathy here is saying, you learn every day, you listen to other people. She's a nutritionist herself, and she's quite about eating, but it's always nice to hear somebody talk to you about the things that you take for granted, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we put on weight, we want it to go, but it doesn't quite go that easily, But thank you so much. And so I'm so impressed by what you're doing in Spain. And, this is an ordinary person doing extraordinary work out there and, raising the flag for us, particularly the Mtoko bit. I'm so, so happy. And
yes, we are there. We are there.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and all the 4 people who are following us. Thank you so much, and enjoyed this. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend. And from Sangwa Zispiwe, you have a lovely day. Good evening to those who are in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, and in London. We'll talk to you again next week. We'll have another guest on Kanoi Wanyai. Sangwa Zispiwe Kachidza Mafumo signing off.